Patricio, my friend and fellow coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Michael. How about you? Thank you for
I'm
having me.
you're welcome. I'm glad you were willing to do this. I'm doing great. I am in the middle of, you and I both do the same thing, similar things or a lot of the same things, so we can talk shop a little bit, but I'm in the middle of travel. Crazy travel. I was in California earlier this week. Now I'm back. Then I'm going up more in the Northeast here for next week. Then I've got another city the week after that. Then I've got Chicago a couple weeks after that. So
Wow,
bouncing
Michael.
around the country. It's been fun.
You're busy. That's more trouble than what I do, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I love it though. I love being in person with clients, in person facilitations. It's just so much, not that virtual's not great, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I can reach more people virtually, but I feel
Right.
like when I'm with them, it's just so much more rich. Do you know what I
Michael, it's
mean?
a really nice distinction because you're right. Virtually, we can reach more people. Even in
Hmm.
the context of just a session, you can have more people in a session, and that's okay. But in person, there's something unique that happens. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's richer. I guess I would use the word deeper, but I will tell you, I don't know if you found this, but during COVID, when it was like all virtual, I
Right.
trained hundreds of people during
Right.
that time. And, there were definitely some relationships that were developed through all of that. But since, things have been more in person lately, I can count more quantitatively how like the relationships that got deeper and the people who
Right.
wanted to stay in touch with me. It's significantly higher than all the virtual training I found. Have you found that
Yeah, the
too?
same thing. The same thing. And I think in part is because of what happens outside the training that you can't, like we've tried to replicate in a virtual context, but it's not always as natural and organic. And so what happens in the break in between
Hmm.
the two modules on a delivery and in person, that's where you actually start talking about family or a hobby
Hmm.
or whatever else. And I was 2 weeks ago in Raleigh, North Carolina, my
Hmm.
first time. A beautiful city, so
Oh,
green.
it's
It was
lovely there, isn't
amazing.
it? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's amazing. And what happened in between, it was a 2 day program. And what happened in the afternoon of day one, which is you go for drinks, you go to have a meal with the client. That's where I feel like really the relationship deepens. And so that's hard to replicate in a virtual context.
It is definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So, you and I could talk for days about, talking shop about stuff, but we have a podcast to record. So, true to the name of the show, my friend, I have no idea where this conversation's going to go, but why don't we give it a shot?
Let's do it. Sounds
All
fun.
right, here we go. I don't know where this conversation's going to go. Hi, everybody. I'm here today with my colleague and friend Patricio Larrea, and he and I are both leadership communication coaches and trainers and all that good stuff. And I'll let Patricio tell you a little bit more about him later on. But Patricio, thank you so much for being willing to do this. I've been inviting people on this show that I know and that I know well. You and I have known each other for several years now, and I just really appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Thank you, Michael. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate the invite.
You got it. So let's start off with the question I ask almost everybody on this show is tell me, Patricio, what's got you feeling passionate? What are you feeling passionate about lately? What's lighting you up? It can be personal, professional, a combination, but let's start there. Tell me what's going on with you in that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And right away, I have something. I've been telling everyone about this because I'm so excited. I am back to practicing martial arts.
You
I,
are.
yes, I am. I'm practicing jiu-jitsu. I'm a white belt,
Okay.
and it's been 6 months. I practiced martial arts for about 20 years in my life.
Mm.
I did karate mainly for almost 15 and then did a few things, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, and then stopped almost 20 years. And 6 months ago, a couple of things motivated me to get back to it. One of those, it was actually a colleague of ours, Brooke, some of her posts on
Okay.
LinkedIn. I was like, wow, I would love to start doing that. It was post of her doing jujitsu, and
Yeah.
I never got into jujitsu actually. And so I thought maybe I should do this. And one day I got up, I was like, let's drop the excuses, let's make it happen. And it's been 6 months and I'm loving every second of it. Last 2 weeks ago, I had my first tournament. So
Oh
it's
my
been
gosh,
amazing.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm curious, what made you, so you did it for many, many years. What would, because I have a similar story, which I'll share in a second, but what made you stop and take that break?
Well, it was moving. I moved when I was 24, I believe. I moved to Canada from Ecuador,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm from, and I got busy. I think that's my
Mm.
excuse. I got busy. At first, it was with my master's, and then it was with work, and then I had a kid. He's 8 now, and so there was always something. And I just moved a year and a half ago to Houston, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and I also started to find excuses. I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be when everything is figured out, when we've renovated the house and all those things. And I was like, no, if I keep going like this, I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
80 and I will not get back. So it was getting busy, being busy. Yeah. How
Life,
about you?
life, life can get in the way, when you're busy like that. Yeah, my similar story, it's not karate. I tried that when I was younger. I wasn't good at that, but I used to be quite an accomplished pianist. I used to play classical
Mm.
music. I used to play the piano in orchestras for shows.
Oh, that's so fun.
One of my favorite things to do when I was in my teens and early 20s was to have people around a piano singing and all of that.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
Yeah, it's like even telling you about it, I can feel how much joy that brings me. But what happened was life got in the way. I didn't have a piano for many years, when I was moving around different places. And then when I tried, I'm in my 50s now, but when I tried in my 30s to get back into it, the excuse was I stink and I'm
Right,
frustrated. I couldn't do
right,
it anymore. My hands wouldn't move fast enough to play the pieces I had mastered 15, 20 years prior. And I got annoyed. And I have this
right.
beautiful piano that's sitting in my living room that sat in my living room for close to 18 years, almost untouched, because I got so frustrated every time I sat down. And during the pandemic, when we were looking for things to do, I was like, you know what? Enough with the excuses. I'm going to sit down and try and play. I got frustrated again. And I was like, what do I need to do here to make this better for myself? And I had realized that I had learned to read. Do you play an instrument at all? Do
I
you read
used to
music?
play piano too. Yes.
Okay. Oh, you did.
No,
So
not to the level that I'm hearing you play, but of course I can read music papers and everything.
So
Yes.
you know how to read music. So that's the point.
Yes, I
Like
do.
I knew how to read music and read the notes and have my hands do what the notes told me, but I never learned how to play just the chords like most musicians that are in bands
Right.
do.
Right.
So I did YouTube videos. I had my brother help me because he's an amazing musician, and I taught myself how to play in that different way
Mm.
because it doesn't require you to read the notes. It requires you to read chords. And it was a reframe for me of,
Right.
I
That's
can
really
do this. And I
interesting.
was never taught how to do this. It wasn't until a late phase that I realized that that's another way to look at it. And
Mm.
I took to it, and it was amazing because now I can sit down at the piano, and as long as I can find the chords, I can pretty much play any song that you want to hear.
That's so interesting, Michael. I love the idea of reframing that learning process. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one of the things that for me really made a difference is that I am not back doing a martial arts that I used to practice before
Mm-hmm.
because I feel I would probably go through the same thing if I am not able to lift my leg the way I used to because my flexibility is gone. Probably give myself a really hard time.
Mm-hmm.
But because I started something completely new, honestly, every time I go to the dojo, I really don't care if I'm bad at it because I'm supposed to be bad at it. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of making mistakes and learning. And so, yeah, I think that reframing is so powerful.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, and that's something you and I both do help people do in our work
Yes.
too, is, how to reframe a message and how to make that land for a certain audience, how to reframe things for yourself through a new lens so that you can have the motivation like we're talking about to get back to
Mm-hmm.
something that brought us joy or that we liked. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Well, that's
Yeah.
wonderful that you're doing that. So
Thank
what
you.
else is going on with you? Is there? I'm curious about work because you and I do a lot of the same things. Is there something going on in your work life that's really fueling you up?
Yes, Absolutely. The how the world is changing, and in particular for us, the presence of artificial intelligence, AI,
Hmm.
that has been really interesting in multiple ways. Two that are really top of mind for me. One is our clients are changing the way they think, the way they
Mm.
talk, helping them, in particular when I do coaching with my clients, and helping them learn how to use AI to solidify their thinking, to amplify their thinking, but not to completely replace their thinking. That is
Hmm.
something that is new,
Hmm.
and it has been interesting to discover. And also for us as a company, figuring out how to use AI to enhance the experience of our participants. And I am excited because we've made some really good progress in very short time. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
know that the people in our product team are giving everything they have, but I taught this program that I delivered 2 weeks ago in North Carolina, and it was the first time that I had included AI in the session. And so
Hmm.
we were actually doing a session on Q&A, learning how to answer questions in the context of a presentation. And when we were done, the framework, the content, let's say the theory, everyone grabbed their phone and hop on to our AI coach, Eli,
Hmm.
and practiced answering questions on a case study. And everyone got immediate feedback, and then we came back and we debrief. And so it was such a rich discussion,
Ah,
and it was
uh-huh.
really fun. So integrating AI, I can see how if you use it well, it can make things better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the really key, is like using it well, right?
Using it well, and what I'm hearing from you is it's like you're using it. Let me back up a little bit. So many people are coming to me as a coach and saying, "Oh, are you afraid of AI?" People
Right.
are out there, there's these AI things that can give you coaching and everything. And my
Right.
whole stance on the whole thing has been, no, I'm not afraid of it. I'm trying to find a way to help me help people faster when I'm not there, in between
Right.
sessions and all that.
Right.
I love, and I'm familiar with how you're using that, because, full disclosure, everybody, I'm a consultant for the company that Patricio works for and leads. So
We're colleagues.
we're colleagues as well as friends here. But yeah, and it's really cool to hear how you're doing that, because when I heard you say that, they grab their phones and they're getting the feedback in the session, it's not that you're being replaced, it's that you're getting the assistance in the moment to give
Right.
them more in
Exactly.
the time. Do
Exactly.
you see what I mean? To
Exactly.
deliver more, to make it richer, to make it more sticky, to have them have more takeaways, you know?
Absolutely. Totally, Michael. And it complements what you bring as a coach. And getting back
Hmm.
to this idea of framing, if we see AI as a threat, then everything we do with it is going to come from that place. But if we see it, to your point, as an opportunity to give more, then you start finding the ways that you can complement each other,
Hmm.
AI and the human. And I'll give you an example. I was working with a client. She was part of a panel, and it was one of her first panels. And so she was
Hmm.
nervous.
Hmm.
And a lot of my coaching for the very beginning was around her mindset and making
Hmm.
sure that she felt she had something to share, that she deserved to be on that stage. That's something that it would be hard to coach, because the AI has never been in that position. Like, I
Hmm.
can see it in my client's eyes that
Hmm.
she's struggling to take that step. And
Hmm.
that kind of coaching, at least for now, AI cannot do. They
Right.
haven't gone through that experience. But in between my sessions, because I can have 1 hour with my client, and then
Hmm.
I'll see her a week after, if anything, a few days after. But the AI in between that can absolutely coach her on things like the message, her
Hmm.
delivery, pace, expression, things that we have practiced in the session, but we
Hmm.
can't just keep practicing. And
Right.
so, which actually, Michael, brings me to something that it has become more clear at the Humphrey Group when in the last year, which is our formula,
Hmm.
and our formula to develop exceptional communication skills. And so the formula is this: it's the combination of mindset
Hmm.
plus tools or
Hmm.
frameworks. So mindset plus tools, time practice equals the development of a skill.
Hmm.
And so with the coach, You can work on your mindset, you can learn the tools, and then AI can come in and help with the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so the combination of those things is a really power formula that helps our clients develop their communication skills.
Yeah, I love that. The one thing that you mentioned there really struck with me about, how AI, like as a coach, AI can right now can't
we'll
do
see.
certain things. We'll see what happens because it's changing fast. But I mean, I had a moment similar to something I heard from you in a recent facilitation. I didn't have a module on teaching strategies for dealing with anxiety and nervousness, but the topic came up. And we were talking about it as a cohort, and I was giving thoughts and advice and everything. And one of the things we talked about reframing at the top of the show here is one of the things that I always tell people is that mindset of what nervousness is. Like, why is it happening?
Right.
And what the room said was worried, my blood pressure goes up, I'm anxious, I'm scared, I'm trying, I don't want to be like all these things came up of like how everything could go wrong. And my reframe for nervousness, ever since I was trying to be an actor and had horrible stage fright, but over the years, the mantra for me is that I'm nervous because I care.
Mm-hmm.
I care about how I am perceived, of course, but I care more about how this goes, how you have it, what experience you have with me, that I make sure that I'm helping you. Like that, I care so much about that. When the nervousness comes up, I just remind myself of why that's there, and it helps soothe it a little bit. But we had this amazing conversation about that together as a group with sharing and da-da-da. And I saw, like you said, in their eyes, it going off like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And then them hearing about, and AI could have given them that advice, but it couldn't have had that moment we had together.
Right. Yeah.
And there's so much strength in that.
Yeah. I totally agree. The point about we are human beings and that emotional component, that thing that makes us human, is still, to your point, we don't know what's going to happen. But for now, AI is not replacing it. So you can say the right things. AI can say the right things. But that learning, that transformation happens many times when you're having that kind of conversation, that kind of space.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about, I'm switching gears here a little bit because I'm just curious. You mentioned that, you were born in Brazil, you said, right? You're from Brazil? Ecuador.
South America.
Ecuador. No, sorry about
We're
that.
close.
Yeah. So your shows I wasn't listening well, which isn't good here. All right. So Ecuador, and then you moved to Canada, and I met you when you lived in Canada, and then you moved to the United States. So you're in the Houston area right now, you said.
That's right.
So how are you enjoying being in the United States and being in the great state of Texas?
I love it. It has been incredible. Yeah, my family loves it too.
I haven't been to the Houston area. I have to make a point to get there at some point. But I had a client outside of Dallas for a couple years, and I was there a lot. And there's a certain level of hospitality there that's different from other parts of the country, which I really loved. It was really nice.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
It's it's a funny thing here. People are just incredibly welcoming, also incredibly polite. Like I love that my kid, for instance, now refers to his mom and teachers and so on, and he's always yes, ma'am. And just like the politeness is amazing. The one thing that also surprised me about Texas, and it's funny because when I moved from Vancouver to Houston, I actually drove down a U-Haul with my brother.
You drove?
I drove. It's an amazing trip. We loved it. I wish I could do it again. And knock on wood, though. Yeah. And when we were entering Texas, we saw a sign that says "Drive friendly, the Texas way." But I think that's a joke because the only thing not friendly about Texas is the way people drive.
The driving.
It's just crazy.
Oh, that's funny.
It's just crazy. It's like incredibly fast. There's no distance between cars. It's just next level.
Okay, I wouldn't have thought that. See, I'm from the Northeast. We are like that. We're pretty aggressive. Well, not all of it. I shouldn't stereotype the whole Northeast, but yeah, the Northeast is known as the driving here is pretty insane. Yeah. Yep. Everybody's in a rush. Everybody's in a hurry.
Right. Yeah.
So it's funny. So you drove all the way down from Vancouver. One of my dreams, and I don't know if I'll ever do it because I'm not good at roughing it, but I would love to drive across this country from where I am in the Philadelphia area, close to New York City to California. I would just love to do it someday. Amazing. I've flown over it so many times. It would be
Right.
neat to do it on the ground, but I don't know. I don't know if I could do it with a U-Haul. I think I would need like a
Well, yeah,
luxury
you
RV
probably
or
want a
something
more
like that.
comfortable car. Yeah, that was not the most comfortable ride, but the changing landscape was amazing. And
Yeah.
there's also, I was with my brother. I have a brother that is 18 years younger than me.
Uh-huh.
And spending 3 days in a car with your brother, you actually engage in conversations just like this,
Mm-hmm.
but so deep because the
Yeah.
chit chat of the first couple of hours is gone, and now you get into really deep conversations. So I felt that I got to discover my brother at a level that
Mm.
I hadn't. So it was beautiful in that way too.
I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
that makes me think of some conversations I've been having lately, Patricio, about the power of spending time with someone in the moment like that. There
Mm.
was one of my other podcasts, the Life Sciences Leadership Show. I had a Zach Mercury on. He's a purpose and mattering expert. He's got great books out. And he was talking about how, in our work lives, we're so Zoom team centric.
Mm-hmm.
So you're using Teams to communicate or Slack or whatever, and you're using Zoom or Teams for video calls and everything. And it's so easy to exit the conversation when you're in those. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you and I had a bad call right now, like let's say, I mean, you and I don't think we've ever disagreed. We're actually usually pretty good collaborators. But if we were disagreeing and I was done with Patricio right now, all I
Right.
have to do is hit that leave button
And the
and you're
call.
gone. And I
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
a
to
good
think
point.
about you.
That's a
But
good
when
point.
you're in person and you're having a difficult conversation, you can't just you have to deal with
You
the
have to deal
human
with,
in front of
right?
you.
Yes, yes,
Do
yes.
you know what I mean? And he maintains that we're losing some of our humanity because of it.
Hmm.
And I can see his point. And I know that's something that we talk about a lot. I know that Humphrey Group has great programming about having conversations and all of that. And that's why it's just so important for people to remember, like, if it's going to be difficult or if there's tension or it's charged, show up, use your body, show the
Right,
empathy, let them
right.
hear your voice. I have seen so many friends have text messaging arguments when
Those are
really they're the worst, when really the intent of the
worse.
initial text wasn't what was received on the other end because there was no tone
So
of
true.
voice
So true.
context. It's just so funny. So, I'm kind of like, as much as I'm a nerd and I love tools and I love tech and all of that, I'm really feeling that yearning to put my devices away, get away from the screens, and be with people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it, Michael. But my question, and this is perhaps where I personally struggle, is how do you do that?
I know.
Like, I don't know if what are some of the strategies that you use to actually make that happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at work, it's, bring people together when you can in person. I know that takes budget and everything, but I will tell you the clients, I'm asked to come facilitate programs when my clients are doing that. And they all say, this was hard to be away from my computer and hard to be
Right.
away from my team, but so worth
It
it
was worth it. Mm-hmm.
because of the relationship. I was in a room 3 weeks ago with 15 people who've known each other for 2 years and never met each other, never sat together face to face.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah. Wow.
I could see the relationships solidifying and deepening. I mean, as simple as the silly icebreaker activity I did to get them up was about to get them to know something about each other that they might not know. And they were beaming. I didn't know you had 3 kids. I didn't know that you
Right.
were someone who had this talent and all of that. And it was just really interesting. So there's that. There are ways, of course, to make this 2D communication more human if you're intentional about it, providing spaces for people to share personal things if they choose to, rather than having it be all work, whether it's a Teams channel that's dedicated for that or everything. But I'll tell you what I learned this week. Okay, I was in California. I was done my work. I went to the bar for a quick bite and my glass of wine. And I was at the bar in this hotel. It was a beautiful bar. There was a live music playing, this guy with an amazing voice playing songs. Everybody was on their phone. And the guy would finish, and I was clapping, and nobody else was clapping. And I was sitting far across the room from him, but I kept leaning toward him and looking at him because I was loving it. And I said to myself, you know what? This is one of those moments where it's my choice to be on
Right.
the phone. I mean, I tried to see if anybody at the bar wanted to talk, but they were all on their phones. So, I put my phone in my pocket and I went over and I sat by the musician
Good
and
for you.
I got a free concert. I got to request
Right.
songs.
Right.
We talked. It
Amazing.
was it was it was such an amazing experience, and I could tell not only was I looking for social interaction, which I don't often do because I'm more introverted and everything, but I was trying to relax and everything, but he needed it,
Mm,
and he wasn't getting it.
right, right.
So it was kind of this beautiful moment with a stranger, all because we decided to put the distractions aside and connect.
And I love that, Michael, is we have to be intentional and make sometimes hard choices because
Hmm.
those are hard choices. Phones in particular, they're such a dopamine hit machine that you have to be absolutely intentional about how you want your relationship with your technology to be, with your phone to be. And
Right.
I'll give you, like, I was asking you and I was reflecting as you were sharing that. What are some of the things that I've done? For instance, I don't have on my phone anymore. I wasn't never a big user on Facebook, Instagram, but I deleted the apps that I
Hmm.
don't have Facebook, I don't have Instagram, I don't have a YouTube app because
Hmm.
otherwise I go in my phone for 30 seconds, exactly
Hmm.
30 seconds, and then 15 minutes later, I am deep in a hole on watching videos and every time
Yeah.
shorter. And you can feel it many times. I'm sure you felt this too. You spend 15 minutes on your phone and you feel that your body feels different. You feel
I agree.
heavy, you feel foggy, and sometimes even dumber because
Mm.
the short videos don't really add too much to your life, to your brain. So
Right.
but those are hard choices. It's
Yeah.
hard things that you need to do to live the life that you want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not on most social networks anymore because of the same reasons that you have. I mean, I am on LinkedIn for professionally because I like
Right,
to
me
share
too.
there. I like to support people there. But even on my phone, I do have that app, but I stop the little red notification from coming on when it wants my attention. I turn that
Hmm.
off so that I try not to. Usually I'm good with this on the weekend or whatever, not even looking at it, but it's my choice to go on to look. It's not because that
It's
little red
pushing.
badge on the iPhones. I don't know if it's the same on the Android, but that's such a like tease. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
of
somebody
course.
somebody on the
Of
other end of
course.
that wants my attention. I'm going to ignore all the people I'm sitting with, and I'm going to look at that.
Yes, yes. And
Isn't
it
it
really
funny?
breaks your flow, Michael. It's
Yeah.
incredible. You're getting, sometimes I'm writing an article. In fact, I'm actually writing an article on nerves, Michael, which is so
Mm.
interesting. We were talking about this. And I've been trying to finish this article for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it is all because I sit down and there's an email that pops up and oh, I
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with this. Or then my
Mm-hmm.
phone, the notification. Even sometimes my kid loves competing with me on Duolingo. And
Uh,
sometimes even the
uh,
Duolingo banner interrupts
right.
my flow. It breaks the flow and it makes everything so much harder. So I love the
Yeah.
idea of taking off the notifications on the phone.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to do that like when I really need to work, when I need to like create a workshop, all that goes off.
Hmm.
The Outlook or whatever's going to the Google, whatever's going to ding, whatever's going to pull me away, off, do not disturb. Because, like you said, for that deep thinking, for that deep work, I can't be pulled away
Right,
from things like that.
right.
So I try to do that. And I'm also trying to be really, I mean, I'm usually pretty good, but I'm also trying to be really, really good when I'm with family and friends, not letting my device steal my attention,
Right. Yeah.
because it's so
It's
easy to
very
let that
important.
happen.
I agree. I agree. I try with my son because I also know that's the example. Whatever I do
Mm-hmm.
with my phone, he's gonna do it with his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely. But back to the idea of you have to make the choices. You
Yeah.
have to make the decision, and
Right.
sometimes that's hard. Yeah.
It is sometimes. Well, time and attention, I think, are two of the most valuable assets today.
I
So,
couldn't
and we
agree
seem to
more.
have less time, and we have more things and people and brands and whatever vying for our attention. So we do have
Hmm.
to be, you do have to, there you go, mindset shift again, like we talked about before. You have to be intentional about who you're going to be present with and how you're going to
Yes.
show that you're present. And one of the
Yes.
best ways to show that you're present is to be there and
Yes,
not be
exactly.
here. So,
Exactly. It's funny,
yeah.
Michael, you say that because one of the exercises that I I think you do it as well. When we talk about listening in our programs, we talk about the three levels of listening, and there's the physical level of listening, the mental, and the emotional. And when we talk about the physical level of listening, I always see that when we're talking about it, and it logically makes sense. And of course, if someone's talking to me, I have to look at them and nod and be engaged, and my feet should be towards them, not to the side. But then we do a quick exercise and we say, okay, for 30 seconds, why don't you tell me something that you feel incredibly passionate about? And they start, and the first 10 seconds you're paying attention. And then I start tying my shoe, and then I start grabbing something from my backpack, and then I just start fiddling with my chair and get up. And you can see that even though it's something they feel really passionate about, they're completely distracted. They lose their train of thought. So even though sometimes it logically makes sense that you have to look at someone, but until you actually get them to experience it and show the impact that you can have with simple physical listening on someone else, it doesn't click. Because we do it all the time. At work, how many times do you put your phone in a meeting? Do you put your phone on the table in front of you with a screen on top, up, and the first notification comes, you're looking at your phone? That's not physical listening.
No. And I don't do that. But I'm just being cheeky there. But listen, I mean, I'm even out to dinner with friends. You know, if someone puts their phone face up on the table, that is a and I don't get upset. And I don't necessarily get upset, but I do. Like, you know that if that lights up, they will not be listening to you.
That's right. Exactly. Their brain is doing something else. Yes.
Right.
And something else that I tell my clients is think about the brand that you want to have. I always say to them, when you're not in the room, what are the words that people would use to describe you? And if one of those is someone that you care, you listen, then make sure that you do those things. And little actions make huge impact. I'll share with you a story. I had a colleague, a former colleague of mine, that in our office, we used to have a space where there were 4 or 5 people could work on a shared space. And I remember when I would call her name, her name was Amelia, and I would call her name, she would actually grab her computer. She would tell me if she needed a few seconds, she would tell me, give me 1 second, I'm going to finish something. And then when she finished, she would actually grab her computer, close the screen, and then looked at me, and then we would have a conversation. I remember still to this day because it was, first of all, something that rarely happens. And then the intention she would put in listening to what I had to say, it made me feel important. And so those little things define your brand.
And what you just said there is one of the platforms that I preach, okay? It's important to consider how you make people feel. And because you felt important, you remembered that story today to tell it to me. That's how much of an impact it had on you.
Right. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Anybody listening, you want to remember the power of truly being present and truly listening. One of my favorite exercises, and you can steal this, Patricio, if you want it. It's not proprietary, but is, I have people talk about a moment when someone wasn't listening to them and how that feels, and we whiteboard out what we heard. That's one of there's 2 exercises and what comes out is there's nothing positive. There's nothing positive. Okay. So that's just, but them sitting there remembering how they felt when someone did not listen to them. It could be doctor's office. It could be at work. Like when you feel that, I can see them saying, oh, well, I need to be better at this because I don't want people to feel that way in my presence. And then I ask people to think of 3 good listeners. So you can do it right now. Think of 3. I'm not going to ask you to share who. 3 good listeners in your work home life. Can you think of 2 to 3 people who are good listeners?
Yes.
Okay. And I would ask, I wouldn't ask people to say names, but why are they good listeners? Can you want to share why you thought 1 to 3 of them are good listeners?
Yeah, for sure. One is they ask me questions. They hear something and then they do a little digging. And that helps. That helps me as the person sharing a thought to really, it helps me think it through. And you know what? That's one of the things about good listeners. Sometimes when you have a friend or someone that's a really good listener, I'm thinking about someone here, you just, sometimes the conversation is almost like one directional because they're really just listening. And as you're saying all these things, you're figuring things out. You're like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
that person didn't need to say much.
Well, you and I kind of do that for each other when we go on a call to brainstorm about how
It's
to help
true.
a client and everything. You
It's
know,
true.
you listen, I
Absolutely.
listen, we brainstorm very freely. I mean, that's one of the things I like about getting on those calls with you is like, I don't have to worry about being perfect. I know both of our hearts are intending to help, and we just can have that free dialogue, listen to each other, reflect back, because I'm the type of person that will be more creative if you help me talk about it.
That's
I'm
right.
less
And I
creative when I'm
appreciate
on
that,
pen and
Michael. You're
paper.
right.
I'm more creative talking. So, but back to the exercise real quick. So, those three people that you thought of, did you think of a name of anyone you don't like?
No,
Okay, in 20
I
years
like
of
them all.
doing that, I've only had one person raise their hand and say yes.
Oh,
And I asked,
interesting.
well, do you respect them? And she said yes. And the moral of that is we like, love, and respect people who listen to us. We don't think of people we don't like, love, or respect. So if you want to be
That's
liked,
very powerful.
you want to be respected, and you want to show love, you need to exercise that listening skill.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
I can
Good.
see
I'm
it.
glad you think so.
Yeah, I
That
can
means a
see
lot
it.
coming from you.
Well,
So,
thank you.
yeah. Well, listen, this has been such a great conversation. I could talk to you for days, but I want to make sure I turn it over to you real quick here to tell folks about how they could find out more about you or get in touch with you if they'd like to. So,
Thank you,
go
Michael.
ahead.
Yeah. Well, I am the Chief Growth Officer at a company called the Humphrey Group. This is where Michael and I both are colleagues. And what we do is we help people communicate with clarity, with confidence, so that they can have the impact that they want. And you can find us on our website. It's thehumphreygroup.com. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Patricio Larrea.
Terrific. Awesome. Hey, Patricio, thank you so much for doing this today. I'm so glad you were
Thank you,
up for
Michael.
it.
It was so fun. Thank you for having me. It was good to
Awesome.
see you.
You too. Thanks for listening today. If you like the show, please rate it on your favorite podcast platform. To learn more about your host, that's me, Michael Piperno, please visit my website at michaelpiperno.com. That website's in the show notes. See you next time.